Let us talk to, here's Phil from Texas. UFOs, Bigfoot, and other YouTube channels, how atheists can help fight against those channels. How are you doing tonight, Phil?
Hi, Puck. I'm so happy to see you on screen. You're getting lots of screen time. You look wonderful. And Paul, the sweetest, kindest, nicest atheist on YouTube.
I see. Well,
almost
I'm glad I have you fooled.
Okay, great. I'll make this quick. I spend way too much time looking at conspiracy channels and crazy channels and so on, and there's not enough skeptic presence there. Because as my very wise old mom says, you'll never change those people's minds. But my point is, if a few people go on and make cogent arguments, we can maybe divert the people, the young people who are just looking at those channels for the first time. What do you think?
Well, let's start us off.
Sure. Well, first of all, I would heartily disagree that there's no point in talking to people. As I mentioned at the top of the show, like 4 or 5 years ago, I thought the Earth was 6,000 years old, and now I'm here. So if everyone decided that I wasn't worth talking to, or that people wasn't making content that was geared to someone like me, then I would still be sitting around thinking the dinosaurs were on the Ark. So I have to heartily say that I'm an example of why that's not a correct statement at all. The second part, though, is it is very tricky to talk to. We all know about confirmation bias. We all know that we're prone to listen to people in our own camp. And when it comes to conspiracy theories, there is very little middle ground nuanced discussion, right? There's not a lot of, let's have a chat about whether vaccines are a good thing. There's very few people that have a strong opinion that's in the middle, that have an opinion. So I think if you kind of have to do what Paul the Apostle did, and that is to become a bit of a chameleon. To the Jews, he was a Jew. To the Greeks, he was a Greek. You kind of have to have some credibility in the camp you want to talk to them. I feel like, or at least that gives you a huge advantage. If so, for example, what I would, I think the most effective possible thing in a, let's say, a QAnon or whatever, right? You want to find someone who did believe it honestly and then came out of it. Because just having someone who never believed it shout at them is a tough sell. It's a tough sell. Not that it can't be done. I think what you have. Go ahead.
I may have misstated my point. Okay, yesterday on Coast to Coast AM, there was a guy who claimed as a grade schooler he was teleported and transported back and forth in time. And he went back to 1 million years BC and saw a dinosaur. Well, there were no dinosaurs in 1 million BC. I'm saying that middle-of-the-road people need to make cogent, non-argumentative arguments to debunk some of this junk.
I don't disagree, and that actually very largely was earlier in the interview when I talked about with young Earth creationism was actually easier than someone's theology, because you could actually just do some, like with something like that 1 million years ago, you can do some nice fact checking and not get in anyone's face, but you can. Yeah. That's a nice, easy one where it's like, well, okay, let's talk about the facts that were presented in a non-judgmental way, but lay out why that claim can't possibly be true. And especially if you don't attribute it to malice or attribute it to ignorance, you just kind of point out, oh, well, they're obviously mistaken about one detail or another because they don't line up. I would love to see more sense. In fact, you're making me laugh because literally this afternoon I was like, I need to start making videos about Coast to Coast AM. I used to love that show.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. It's the craziest of the crazy.
Yeah.
There was one guy that said a female Bigfoot drug him up from the creek and had intercourse with him. And of course, my question is, how was it?
Please, this
But-
isn't Thursday.
Go ahead,
sorry.
Buck.
No. I think like for me, and this is something that I struggle with. Like, what's the best way to fight back? There's this BS scale where it takes very little time to spit out BS compared to how much time it takes to fight BS, right? And by the time we're done, like even if we can factually take apart one claim, they've already gone off and given 10 more, right? And so it feels like this endless fight against this hydra where you cut off one head and three heads grow in its place, right? And I think that it's impossible for any one content creator to do it. But one of the reasons I do what I do is because I want to model the kind of conversations that I want to see other people having elsewhere. And when you have tools at your disposal, not to take on these big channels and big claims, but to take on Bob from work over at the water cooler who says something way out there, and then you can just look at it and say, you know what, I can understand why you'd believe that. But you know let's talk about this some more, and then maybe you can start to pick apart at their reason for the belief, and then from there you can take on that one person. The conversations that we have on here, we're going to reach maybe a couple thousand people, okay? But the people who are listening are going to have those conversations a lot more than we are. And my hope is to give people that ammunition and that confidence to be able to have these conversations at the water cooler. And we'll slowly start to turn the Bobs of this world. It's not going to happen on shows like this. It's going to happen at the water cooler.
Listen, I have one more very important thing to tell you. I've looked into this on Google, and you know when you get those ads that come up at the front of these shows?
Indeed.
If you watch them for 30 seconds or click the learn more, subscribe now, whatever button, that puts money in the pocket of the YouTube provider, and it costs money to those doing those ads. So if you see a church-related ad, watch it for 30 seconds, and you will put money in the pocket of your YouTuber.
Chip away at the one YouTube engagement at a time. No, I absolutely agree with you. It's small, but it's something that anybody can do. It's totally free. Well, yeah, watch it and then make them pay for our show. It's good. It's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But that's how I would fight. Then that's my message. And hopefully we gave you some things that you can do at home and at the water cooler.
Well, I just say engage with the crazies even a little bit, because somebody innocent may be watching.
Yeah, that's why we're here. We're here not just for the people who are calling. Like, how many times have you heard this, Paul? We're not here just for the callers. We're here for whoever might be listening to the callers. Who they might be listening and saying, you know, wow, that's something that I used to believe, and now I'm hearing someone systematically take it apart and start making more sense than anybody else I've ever heard.
I'm just here to hang out with Puck. I don't know why anyone else is here.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the hockey season to start, quite frankly. I mean, if this show had happened a month from now, we'd all just be itching. It's like, okay, guys, can we wrap this up? The Seattle Kraken game is about to start. There would be no Discord after party. It'd be straight to the rink. That reminds me, I need to change my availability with the ACA.
When the masking and all that is over, I want to come down to the ACA and bring you guys 2 gallons of the best chili you've ever had.
Well, you're not going to find us there because I'm in Cincinnati and Paul's in.
But I am going to visit. I'm with you. I am going to visit the ACA again. That is a place I'm going to go. So the Free Thought Library, and I have a hard time betting that anyone there, you'd convince them that you have the best chili. But I would love to see you try, because Texans are serious, as you know, about their chili.
And us here in Ohio, we have no idea what we're talking about when it comes to chili. Right. I'll just be flat out. So
I will put my chili up against crack cocaine.
Okay.
Oh, I would have no basis for comparison, but I will.
Speaking for everyone at the Free Thought Library, bring it on.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yep. All right.
Phil, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. You're doing a great. I love the ACA. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you. Have a great night.
So the thing I would add to that is obviously Truth Wanted is the show on the ACA that is designed to deal with more of that kind of just methodology, right? We're not concerned that people are changing their lives because they believe that someone time traveled and saw a dinosaur. Like, we're not, at least I'm not concerned that anyone's rights are going to be taken away in the legislature because
Right.
someone believes that. But I think your answer was so great. It was better than mine that, yeah, we got to, you want to use this as an example, a way to teach source methods or teach source epistemology in some way. It's kind of like, and this was actually something I was able to do with my kids when I stopped being a theist. They weren't willing to have conversations with me regarding faith specifically, but when a commercial would come on, I could still talk to them. Well, do you think that that's true what they said in the commercial, and how would we check? Do you think, what and I think, this time travel dinosaur guy is a great way to do that. It's like, well, is there anything there that we can check for ourselves?
Yeah. How did you know it was a million years ago? Did you like go to
Right.
the newsstand and check out a newspaper and look for the date?
Right. And it said 1,000,000 BC because they knew they were counting down.
Right, and
Yeah.
it's of course it's in English, so you could read the
Of course, that's
newspaper
right. Yep.
that was there, and no, and yeah, and so this is why I love the variety of shows that the ACA puts out, and I love
Mhm.
working with the shows that I work with. Atheist Experience and Talk Heathen, they're fun shows, but I also like, specifically like nonprofits, which we'll talk about. This is, where religion and government are colliding, and
Right.
what we, be informed first, and then find out what you can do about it second, and then a show about general epistemology like this one, where we'll pick apart not just religious beliefs, but where else are these beliefs spreading.
Exactly.
It's dangerous now. Like about 10 years ago, conspiracy theories were just kind of like fun to read about on Reddit, and now we're getting to the point where it's actually potentially harming people because they're not, they think that COVID is sorry, I shouldn't say, wow, okay, I just demonetized the whole show by saying one word.
No, it's no viruses or yeah. But I mean, back to the initial thing that Molly, I think it was Molly who the call about the dream. How many times do I hear now? Like, I had a dream about this and that solidified it for me. And like when I was a Christian, sure, I'd have nodded along to that, but now that's just so bad. That's just
it's like, how can I believe this? But you realize, because you, like you said, you've been there. You've been in a
Right.
place where you believed it, so you know why it's convincing. Right.
But I would say laws in our countries, yours and mine, are being affected by legislators who think that they had a dream about something. I think that happens.
Oh, that's legislation by dream. That's okay.
So